If I couldn't go forever on that backing track, let me tell you folks, how you doing? My name's Nick Jennison. It's the Monday Guitar Show. We're doing the thing that we do on Mondays, which is hang out and talk about the guitar. Specifically, we are talking today about one of the most important topics when it comes to progressing your guitar playing, which is, of course, learning by ear and transcribing. Now, this is not going to be a stream on how to transcribe. And it is not going to be streamed specifically on developing your ear. Rather, we're going to do some exercises to demonstrate to you the value of these things and maybe give you some tips about how you might start to implement learning by ear into your guitar practice and into your progress routine for the instrument, so to speak. So it's going to be kind of an interesting one. Also, that first backing track that you heard me play along with, that is one of a crop of brand new backing tracks that are coming your way, available on licklibrary.com. They're not available just yet, but it's a little sneak preview. Been working hard making these. I'm going to be doing some more this month, so we're going to have new streams of tracks coming your way. It's going to be a good time because we do like ourselves some backing tracks, let me tell you. So folks, if you're new here, let me tell you a little bit about what's going on. We do this every Monday. We hang out, we chat about the guitar. Our objective is, as always, to make you, dear viewer, a slightly better guitar player when you leave us than you were when you arrived. If you're here in the UK, we want to thank you for joining us on Bank Holiday Monday. Bank Holiday for our non-UK friends is where we all take a Monday off. It's been a lovely day. I've just been kind of doing very little, to be honest, as is tradition for Bank Holiday. Went to the gym, saw some friends, went and had a nice little walk. It's been a lovely, lovely day. Come here, played some guitar over this very cool 80s backing track. I got to tell you, these 80s tracks, as much fun as they are, they really take some work. There's a lot of stuff goes into these 80s tracks, right? But I'm happy about it because maybe second only to the cinematic ballad type tracks that we do. They take a lot of work too. But I'm happy about it because it means I've got cool new tracks to play along with. And this one's interesting because it's a 3-bar cycle rather than a 4-bar cycle. More about that when it actually comes out. Anyway, we'll say some quick hellos. But before we do, I want to take a second and show you one of today's sponsored courses. This is a course by our friend Levi Clay. Very, very cool course from a fabulous musician. This one is on the subject of ear training, which is something that's very, very appropriate for today's stream. If you'd like more detail on ear training and how you can develop your musical ear, you can get it at this course.
Welcome to this course on the practical guide to ear training for the modern musician. Now, what I mean when I talk about a practical approach to ear training is this is about playing the instrument. This is about real life musical skills where your ear is important and developing those skills, the sorts of skills that old school jazz musicians or blues musicians would have had over the sorts of skills that you focus on developing in music school. So while I'm going to absolutely at some point come back and teach you the importance of, that was a fifth and all of the stuff like that, being able to hear a melody, being able to hear some of your favorite guitar solos and go, this is how I go about playing that. That's an entirely different skill, and it's one that I think is sorely lacking when it comes to the subject of ear training. So we're going to start out with what I would call unison training, which is the confidence in being able to hear any given note, find that note on our instrument and confidently say, these two notes are the same. It might seem like that is something that wouldn't need to be taught, but it absolutely is, because the amount of students that I have that are not confident in playing a note back to me and saying, that was what you just played, Levi, is really quite astonishing. It's something that I have seen significant benefits with my students to really sit and focus on developing that unison training.
Now that is something where we, if you need any help with the stuff that we're doing on this stream, this is the place to go and get it. That is something that is going to be super valuable for all of you guys who are watching today. If you'd like a little bit more assistance with your ear training, you want a full course in the subject, you can go grab it at licklibrary.com, where you'll find that course along with so many others. It is frankly comical. The subject of learning by ear. There is an interesting phenomenon that is going on in the guitar playing world right now, and has been for some time, which is where everyone wants to learn the guitar from tab. And there's nothing wrong with tab. Tab is absolutely fine. However, let's begin with the first basal assumption of what we're doing here. When we are playing the guitar, we are not playing numbers. We're not playing dots. We are not playing frets. We are not playing strings. We are playing music. This is the important thing to bear in mind with this. We're playing music. Music is and will always be an auditory phenomenon. That is to say that it's something that happens with and around and in your ears. So music is to be listened to. And if we skip over or we gloss over the listening aspect of music, i.e. our ability to engage with music orally, that is to say, with our ears, then we are missing a huge part of the puzzle. So, one thing folks miss when they learn songs, learn licks, whatever, from tab, is we miss the listening experience. We miss the ability to hear something and anticipate what it is we're trying to play, and have that preformed sound image before we play. So let me talk you through a process here, right? What we're going to do is we're going to play a lick, and I'm going to tell you the lick. Is it the Disney song, says Craig? The Disney song? Yes, indeed. You're the first person who's got it, man. It's actually my friend Anth who keeps talking about this. He's a big fan. He loves that song. I think it's his PR song. I'm pretty sure he's done some big old front squats to that specific song. Definitely done some big overhead presses. So, here is our lick, right? We're going to play the following. I'm going to have you play this. I'm going to have you play on the D string. You won't get a chance to hear this. We'll play D5, G5, G7, G9, G12, G9. I'll say that again. So we have D5, and then the G string, 5, 7, 9, 12, 9. Did you get that? Let's play it. Along with the backing track, here we go. I want to see what you come up with. Grab your guitars, see what you play. Did you get something interesting? Who knows? Have another go and see what you come out with. In case you missed it, it's D5, then G5, 7, 9, 12, 9. Okay. Did you get something cool? Who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe you played something cool. Maybe it was something less than cool. Maybe it was something that I intended for you to play. Maybe it wasn't. Here is something else we're going to try. With those same notes, I'm going to black the screen and I'm going to play something for you. And I want to see if you can, with those notes that we just played, interpret this lick in the way that is closer to how I've intended it. So, screen is black for a reason. I'm going to play the lick and then I'm going to ask you to play it back. Listen again, I'm going to go like this. One more time, I'll play. And now without seeing me, you should still be able to play that line. Now it's a little bit of a cheat because I told you what the notes are, but let me know if that second example was more musical, let's say, or if it was easier for you to learn, it was easier to pick up the musical context. Let us know in the comments which one you did better with. Do you feel like you played better when it was sound information or when it was just cold notes in front of you? Did that make sense? Let's do another example. We're going to do a lot of blacking the screen today. So, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to take a melody, and this melody is going to be in the key of C major. Gerald Carson in the house. Thank you so much, Gerald. We're going to do the same collection of notes. So I shall remind you of what those notes were, just so we're all on the same page and we're all clear. The notes are this. We have... Sorry, I'm tripping over the cable from my lav mic, which is going to cause us all sorts of problems. So I'm just shifting some things around. We have D5, G5, G7, G9, and G12. This is the notes G, C, D, E, G. And these notes represent a C add 9 triad, C add 9 chord, arpeggio. Now, using the same notes, I'm going to black the screen and play a melody, and then we'll see if you can conjure up what that melody is. So once again, we're going back to the black screen. That's the same collection of notes. See if you can come up with this melody just by listening to me. So if I play the following, we will get back on the old lead sound. I'll go again. Once again. Now one more time. Now, without the screen blacked, let's see if you guys picked that up correctly. Take some time and practice it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the actual melody for you. We'll see what the deal is. So let me know if you got it. If you did, fantastic, right? Let me know if you got it, if you got it, if you got it. Okay, here's what the melody should have looked like. We should have got this. One more time. Mal got it, Marcin got it, a little bit of that. Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we're going to address a comment, a very good comment from our friend PJ saying, I think tab is a good starting point if you're stuck, but after that you cannot beat your ear. 100% agree, 100% agree. Kate Strange saying, I love the blank screen idea. Oh, that's so interesting. Finding it not too bad with the arrow stuff because I'm totally blind. I did not know that. But you're in good company, right? Some fabulous blind and partially sighted guitar players out there. Raul Midon is my favorite. If you guys, weird thing to have a favorite one of, but Raul Midon, geez, what a guitar player, right? So here's one from a friend, Vil S, or Villas 8619. So it's got different fingering, but I got it. Now, this is the thing, right? The fingering itself is a matter of convenience. So when you're playing stuff, you can finger the, or you can fret a melody or position a melody however you want. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. When people teach you stuff, they'll either teach you the fingering that was used on an original recording or a recommended efficient fingering, but ultimately you can play things any which way you like. So a really good example of this, which I thought was absolutely hilarious, but also wonderful, was the way Richie Kotzen plays the song Green Tinted 60s Mind. So I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but the song it's on classic albums, Lean Into It, if you're interested, which is available on lakelibrary.com. And the song starts with this really cool tapping intro, which is this. Sam Bell's done a fantastic job on this course, right? It's just so good. But what's really interesting is Paul Gilbert was the guitar player for the original recording. Richie Kotzen joined Mr. Big and replaced Paul Gilbert when Paul quit. He was tasked with the idea of playing these songs, these legendary Paul Gilbert songs. Obviously, he wasn't given tab. He was given the albums, going, there you go, Richie, there's the album, learn that. And what Richie didn't know, apparently, is that that was played with tapping. So Richie plays it with like conventional methods, let's say. So he plays like this. Let me get this right. You get the gist, right? You get the gist. I did know how to play that once upon a time, but I thought it was absolutely fascinating to see how to see how two wonderful guitar players would go about playing the same thing, the same notes entirely differently. And it is there to illustrate, the reason I bring this up is to illustrate the fact that, as our friend Vil S pointed out, the fingering is different when we learn things by ear, perhaps, but that may even be a good thing, because what you've ended up with is you've ended up with a fingering that is, at least hopefully, the most efficient way for you to play a given line, given your personal preferences, the way your hand feels, your instrument, your preferred style of, like, do you like to stretch? Do you like to cross strings? There's a lot of preference to this. There's no one right or wrong way to play any given thing, unless your mission is to play it with exactly the correct fingering from the original. Anyway, here's one from Larry Warren. Says, the thing about tab is that it doesn't actually show the rhythm. Absolutely, that's another thing, which we are going to get to, but there is another thing here, which is, yes, rhythm is very, very important, but what tab absolutely does not convey is nuance. Now, this is not to turn this into a big, like, anti-tab stream. Tabs are great, right? I love tabs, use tab all the time. But what we fail to communicate with tab is nuance. So I want to go back to that melody that we just played, and I'm going to play it again for you, right? And the melody is as follows. If I play it in a fairly, like, anodyne kind of way, we might get something like this, where if I articulate this melody to you, we have, starting up here on 12, we have on the G string, 12, 7, 9, 5, and then 5 on the D string. 12, 7, 9, 5, 5 on D. And the rhythm is... With the backing track, it sounds like this, where we get... I may have changed the rhythm a bit there, I'm kind of making these up. And we'll go one more time. So those notes are right. That's cool, that works for us. However, the notes themselves are not the entirety of the song. There is much more to the song, or much more to the lick, than the notes. Because in amongst these, excuse me, I'm going to cough. Beg your pardon. So there's much more to a lick or to a song than just the bare rote notes themselves. There's also the nuance, the articulation, and the musicality of it, let's say. So I could take, for example, let's take a song, like a vocal song. So today, in the gym, I heard a completely unnecessary remix of How Will I Know by Whitney Houston, right? And if I were to say the line, I'm asking you what you know about these things. That's the right rhythm. It's the right words. I'm asking you what you know about these things. Right rhythm, right words. I could even put the right notes on there, but without the articulation, without the way that Whitney sings it, with the same tone of voice, the same dynamics, the duration, where does the vibrato go, where is the brightness in the voice, where is the softness in the voice, etc. It doesn't convey the same information as the original version. So what we can do with this is we can take this melody that we just played, which was... and by listening to the melody, we can now infer a little bit more musical information in there. So what I want to do is I want you to listen to this, and I want you to listen not just for the notes and not just for the order, but for things like emphasis, for things like note duration, emphasis being, do I land strongly on a note, or do I pass through the note? Am I playing it hard? Am I playing it soft? Am I giving it some real beans, or am I just going, ooh, let me just touch that note very gently? Is it a loud consonant in speech, or is it a soft, kind of a little, I don't know, if you were writing it out, would it be like big capitals, or would it be little cursive letters? Now, let me show you what this sounds like in context, and we'll see if you can catch some of this along with our 80s backing track. So if I go like this, I'll wait for the track to come out. Here is a non-nuanced version. I'll play again. One more time, I'll go. Okay, let's black the screen, and now I'm going to play it with nuance, and I want to see if you can pick up some of that nuance and character that we have in this particular lick. So I'll go like this, ready? Listen to the emphasis first. And again. And see if you can catch that little emphasis. For anyone tuning in, the screen is black on purpose. Now, what we heard here, which again is something that is very poorly communicated in tablature, is this idea of having certain notes being very loud and certain notes being very soft. So the first note I played was loud. Ba 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 ba. The third note, ba ba, also loud. And then ba ba. The last note, loud. These are notes that are emphasized. The notes that are de-emphasized are the note right here, and I'm achieving that by playing it with a pull-off, and quite a gentle pull-off at that. But I could pick it too. This note is also de-emphasized, so it's emphasis, de-emphasis, emphasis, de-emphasis, emphasis. Villa is saying my fingerings don't work now because you've added the vibrato. Oh no, but you should be able to do vibrato with any finger, surely, right? I don't know, I'm just teasing. But really though, I mean, any fingering should work with the vibrato, but we'll talk about the vibrato in a second. So with that in mind, with this idea of playing, let's see if that adds a bit more context to what we're doing. And we've also highlighted the vibrato. So now we have this. One more time. Nice, last time. You take a turn, see how close you can get it. Okay, I'm gonna take a turn, same thing, I'll go. One more time, your turn. I'll take a turn, I'll go like this. Nice. Now, what are some of the things that we may have picked up in the process of learning this lick by ear, using our little locals to lugs, Geordie thing, right? Northeast of England. So other things we may have picked up or we may have gathered from this learning process is that there are also some expressive context here. Oh, I see. Villes says, I was keeping my first finger on the 5th fret for all the time for all 3 notes. Okay. Well, that would be a problem, yeah, because that wouldn't have vibrato in there. Well, you could if you're a skilled finger roller, but it means you end up doing all this sort of stuff. But to be fair, that's a perfectly valid way to play that lick, as is this, for example. But anyway, I digress. So there are some expressive qualities to this, and as has rightly been pointed out, the vibrato is a deal. So first question is, which notes get vibrato? Is it all of them? Is it every held note? Is it every single note? Do some held notes sustain without vibrato? You get the drill. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to show you another trailer for another course that we're running, which is yet another fantastic Levi Clay ear training course. It's the companion to the course we've just done. So I'm going to play this for you. Pay attention to the vibrato, and then we'll see where we get to. So once again, I'm going to go like this. I'll go again. Nice. One more time. Now, answers in the comments. Which notes got vibrato, which notes didn't? We'll return after this brief break. This is Levi Clay's ear training chords.
Welcome to my course, Ear Training Chords, how to start working out absolutely any song. I, for many of you that know me, have been working as a transcriber for all of my professional life in music, so my ears are near and dear to me, but when it comes to being able to work out songs, I've always found that much more difficult than transcribing a solo because, of course, songs require chords. Chords are harmony. Working out a single note at a time, that's relatively easy to do. But being able to hear harmony, being able to hear what a chord progression is very difficult in those early stages. And this course has been designed to help get you through some of those barriers. So we're going to start out with some basic pitch recognition, being able to find bass notes, make sure that we can both play a note and agree that we're playing the same note. That's very, very important. But from there, we're going to move on to major scale harmony, getting to grips with all of the diatonic notes in the major scale and being able to find, 1-4-5s, but also 3s, 6, 2s, flat 7s, flat 6s, all of this stuff when your root note is either on the E string or on the A string. After that, we'll move on and look at some more non-diatonic changes that don't necessarily belong. So being able to play the 2 chord as a major chord.
There we go, right? So that another really valuable course from my friend Levi. All of these are available, by the way, at licklibrary.com. You can go to licklibrary.com, sign up for a membership. You'll get all these courses and so many more as part of your Lick Library membership. Definitely worth your time investment, let me tell you. Especially these ones, because they're completely unique. Like, I don't know any other courses that do the same thing, right? So credit to Levi on this one. They are some really killer courses. Okay, so we got some comments here. The emphasized notes are the E and G, being the low G. Mal Riley says the more emphasized notes are vibratoed, 1, 3, and 5. You are absolutely, well, you're half right there. You're nearly there. The first note, not so much, because we don't have time to emphasize that one. So you would think... But in reality, this note is not played with vibrato. That one is. That one is too. So we may see this on tab. However, as we've discussed before, vibrato, well, vibrato is not as simple as just hit the vibrato button. You know, like you're going to play vibrato, you see the wiggly sign over the note, and you play the vibrato, right? So if I throw this backing track on one more time, let me show you how people may interpret that. If you end up with some tablature or some transcription for this, that is not one you've made yourself. We are going to talk about how you can transcribe and learn using your ears in a bit. We'll get to that, I promise. But let me show you this. So we might get this. I'll go again. We may even get this. Or some strange combination thereof. Now, none of those sound like the original lick, which sounds like this, where we get... Then again. Let's talk about why. What is going on with that vibrato? Take a second and analyze it for me. I want to know in the comments if you can pull what is happening there. So I'll go like this one more time. Listen to the vibrato, I want to hear what's going on there. One more time. One more time. I want to know from you in the comments what's happening vibrato-wise. What is the vibrato doing there? I think we've got some good ones coming in, but I am going to elucidate for you if you guys haven't got it in a second. Here's an interesting one. That would happen less if you were listening to the music along with reading the tab. It certainly would. Absolutely certainly would. However, there is something magic about just using your ears that we're going to explore in a second, because there are some other aspects to this, right? Other aspects. Longer and stronger vibrato, says Mal. I would probably argue that the vibrato is definitely longer. However, the vibrato in this instance is deliberately very slow and quite shallow. So I've chosen this vibrato specifically because it's not one that people go to very often. Kim's in the house. Kim, late to the party. That's all right, man. I hope you're somewhere nice. Kim is often tuning in from somewhere sunny. Although, to be fair, most of the UK has been sunny today, so even if he's down in our London studio, still probably quite sunny. More sunny than where I'm at, although I'm quite close to the beach, so that is nice. Anyway, so the vibrato in this instance, right? The vibrato is quite a unique vibrato because it is this slow, shallow vibrato. Now, if you saw this written with just some tab, maybe wouldn't pick up on that. So this is where the listening thing further comes in. So rather than playing this, that's a bit of an absurd example, but you get the gist. We can play this lovely slow vibrato, which brings us much more in line with the lick that we're playing. So with all of that information, we have now taken what was this and made it into this. Significantly more musical. Now, this is not because I have within me some innate magical musicality or anything like that. It's just because I've listened, or certainly for you doing this, you have listened very closely to what's being played, using your ears to pick up on cues that are not necessarily immediately apparent if you were to see this just transcribed. Now, that's one little benefit of this, but let's get into some other aspects of this, some other aspects. Now, I said in the description here that transcribing and learning by ear is a really great way to improve your improvisational chops and improve your guitar's vocabulary, or your guitar playing vocabulary. So the question with this is why? Why would transcribing be a good way to improve your vocabulary? Well, first of all, if you are learning a load of songs, learning a load of licks, learning a load of this, that, the other, you have exposure to all sorts of cool ideas that other guitar players may have played in the past that you can start to bring into your own playing. So say, for example, I had recently learned the solo from Stairway to Heaven, and I've learned this lick. I also learned that my E string is out of tune for reasons. It's unusual, this guitar never goes out of tune. It must be a temperature thing. Maybe. Yeah, say I just recently learned that. Now, obviously, I can't just drop the lick from Stairway into every solo that I'm playing, but I have learned this. Let's say I learned it by ear, for argument's sake. I could recall on something like that, because I've learned this lick, right? I've developed this lick. We're going to get into why the ear thing is important. This is more just like learning stuff. So I'll play this real quick. I could drop this in here. In all sorts of different ways, and I have another little bit of vocabulary that I can throw into my playing. That is like literally literally surface level stuff, surface level. But why ear in that case, right? If it's ear training is cool, but why is ear training better than just like learning by tab? Because you can learn licks by tab, right? And then you can go, well, I'll just learn that lick and I'll throw it in. Well, here is where ear training becomes more beneficial in this instance, and why learning things by ear is very beneficial. By extension, by transcribing things is very beneficial. It's because when you learn by ear and you transcribe, you improve your ability to audiate, i.e. to hear something in your mind's ear before you play it. The reason for this is by learning by ear, you reinforce your process of connecting sound to notes that you're playing on the guitar. I'll say that again. You reinforce your ability to connect sounds either in your head or on a recording to notes on the guitar. And this is very powerful because what it enables you to do is it enables you to imagine sounds in real time, something that you might want to play, let's say, and because you're used to locating notes and sounds on the instrument, you are better able to immediately translate that onto the guitar. So let me see if I can come up with something for you, right? I'm going to maybe try and sing an idea, and then I'll see if I can play the idea. So I might go like this. Where am I going to start here? That's nice. I like that again. Okay, that's cool. Now I've got that note, that line in my head. I can play. I'll go again. Now I didn't quite get that because there was a little sweep to some of these notes. I also feel like that one needs a little bend up. That's better. Much better. Now, this capacity to hear a line and then play it is humongously important to your fulfillment and capacity as a musician, because ultimately, isn't that what we're all trying to do here? We're trying to hear notes and then we're trying to play them. And this is why some players just have this fabulous flow on the instrument that is something to behold. Every once in a while for me, I'll grab it. Every once in a blue moon, the flow will happen. That's maybe not necessarily true. I tend to feel like I flow normally quite well in terms of being in a flow state with the instrument, but in terms of just playing pure magic, well, that only happens every once in a while. But some players just seem to be able to do it all the time. My favorite example of this is Andy Timmons, just the greatest at this stuff, although Chris Buck comes very, very close. That said, this is something you can absolutely develop, and it's something that you can develop by developing your ear and developing your ability to learn by ear. Now let's talk about how you might do this, right? Here's some very cool comments, by the way. My friend Lars is in the house. Lars, it's great to see you. He says, love it, Nick. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Response Audio is saying, when I learn by ear, it feels like the lick is more internalized and I have better recall. I often forget something I learned from tab. Do you know, you are so right on this, right? So occasionally I have to learn stuff quite quickly. Excuse me, I'm going to cough. Occasionally I have to learn stuff quickly. And I will often reach for tab if I have to just get something very quickly put together for a gig, let's say. But I forget it really, really, really quickly. However, if I've sat and worked something out, you best believe, like, I will know that for the rest of my life, because the process of like thrashing this out and picking it apart, it just makes the whole thing more ingrained. It's the same way that if you have an idea and you actually take the time to take a pen and paper or pencil and paper and you write the idea down, it gives you a much more concrete sense of the idea. The process of actually writing it down is part of making it real. It's also one of the reasons why the practice of journaling is really interesting. If you have thoughts, say for example, you might sit and write them down. And the process of actually writing the thoughts down, first of all, it slows you down. It means that you can't breeze through your thoughts. You have to kind of do the whole thing. But the same thing is true with learning by ear. You know, you have to commit to the process of hearing, finding, all that sort of stuff. So it absolutely makes it more internalized. And as Response Audio has rightly pointed out, it's more internalized as a concept rather than just a lick. Very nice. Here's another one from Steve Louth saying he used this method to write his music and solos. I'm guessing you mean the method of singing it and then trying to play it. I think that's very cool and very clever because it means the music is coming from some internal place. Now, let's talk about the process by which you might work some things out. And for this, I'm going to go back to this same backing track, and there's a little lick further in that I'm going to try and very quickly. I wrote the track, so it'll take no time at all. But there's a lick here where we play. Now, did you all hear that lick, right? So I'm going to take you through the process of actually very quickly transcribing and learning that lick by ear. So the first thing I need to do is establish what my collection of notes are. And for me personally, I tend to work from the idea of there being a key. I'll shortcut this and say it's in the key of C major, in this context, A minor. It's a particular part of the track. So I'm listening for where the root note is. If you want some information on this, you can check out Levi's ear training courses. They're really good. So I might just fiddle around with notes until I get one that sounds like roots. And that sounds very rooty to me. So that tells me I'm in the key of A, something. It's very obviously minor. So what I might do is I may go looking for maybe the first note or a big standout note. I feel like there's a standout note at the end there. I think it's G, but I think it's not that G. Oh, it's actually a C. There we go. Cool. So I'm choosing those notes. I'm going, okay, that's the note. And then we have two notes below it that go bam, 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 So I've got my one note. I'm now going to look at these other notes. So it might be these ones. I'm dramatizing this process. That's not it, they don't match. So maybe it's these ones. That's not it, let's go back. There we go, so what have I got? I've got E, F, C. Now in the process of doing this, rather than just like going straight to the tab, what I've also learned from this is I've learned that, why do I keep going back to 2 of me? I think I need to do longer presses on these foot switches. Very strange. What I've also learned in this process is not just that those are the notes, but I've learned the rhythm, the ba-da-ah. I've learned the emphasis, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. I've learned there's a repeat. I can hear it's the same thing twice, so I play it twice. And then there's another little part of this that has a particular lope to it that I'll show you. It's Jeff Porcaro term, a lope. We'll have a bit of that. So this is, I know where they are. So that better. Is that 1 note or 2? Got lucky on there. I think there are 2 notes. Is it thirds? It is not thirds. It's fourths. And I immediately picked up there's a slide there as well. So you can hear those notes. Wow. So that melody immediately sounds like this. What other information might I have picked up in this process? Well, there's a few. First of all, the thing I picked up was that, first of all, it's on a distortion sound. So I didn't immediately go to my clean tone. It's on the bridge pickup. I could hear that by experimenting with the pickups and going, oh, that's the one it sounds like, and matching it ear-wise to what I'm hearing in front of me. I've learned that there are certain slides there. I've learned note durations. I've learned where it sits in the track. I've gained so much information from this process of learning by ear that I wouldn't have gained otherwise. So folks, we're going to answer some questions about this because I'm sure you have some. So if you have questions, right, don't forget, if you've got questions, drop them in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're going to take 1 more second to watch our friend Levi's first trailer. This is Levi Clay's ear training, practical ear training for the musician. In case you missed it at the start, this is available as part of your Lick Library membership. When we come back, we'll answer as many of your questions as we have time for.
Welcome to this course on the practical guide to ear training for the modern musician. And what I mean when I talk about a practical approach to ear training is this is about playing the instrument. This is about real life musical skills where your ear is important and developing those skills, the sorts of skills that old school jazz musicians or blues musicians would have had over the sorts of skills that you focus on developing in music school. So while I'm going to absolutely at some point come back and teach you the importance of, that was a fifth and all of the stuff like that, being able to hear a melody, being able to hear some of your favorite guitar solos and go, this is how I go about playing that. That's an entirely different skill, and it's one that I think is sorely lacking when it comes to the subject of ear training. So we're going to start out with what I would call unison training, which is the confidence in being able to hear any given note, find that note on our instrument and confidently say, these 2 notes are the same. It might seem like that is something that wouldn't need to be taught, but it absolutely is, because the amount of students that I have that are not confident in playing a note back to me and saying, that was what you just played, Levi, is really quite astonishing. It's something that I have seen significant benefits with my students to really sit and focus on developing that unison training.
So, again, if you want to get access to these great courses that are really going to help with your ear training, make sure you go check them out at licklibrary.com. And of course, while you're here, don't forget you can go to guitarinteractivemagazine.com for news, reviews, interviews, all that good non-lesson related stuff. We're going to highlight a really cool comment from our friend Mike Seedorf here, but if you have questions, we'll try and get through as many as we can. Drop them down below. We are running shy on time, but we'll get through as many of these as we possibly can. It may need to be just this one, but we'll see. Mike started playing guitar in 1979. Learning by ear was all we had until the early 80s when tab came out. And a lot of the tab was wrong, but we'll get you in the ballpark. Now, this is something that I have dealt with too. So I didn't start playing guitar until the 90s, and I don't know what year it was. I'm trying to work this out based upon my own age. 95, I want to say I started playing the guitar, give or take. Yeah, I want to say 1995. That sounds about right, which is a long time ago now. So yeah, I started playing guitar then. I feel very, very old. That's all I'm going to say, but I feel very, very old most of the time, so that's nothing new. Now, I remember buying tab books and searching for internet tabs for all of my favorite songs, and they were so often wrong. Just so often. Tabs these days are quite reliable. People are quite good at them, but I'm a little bit sort of like nervy of tab because it was so often incorrect, right? Yes, it would kind of give you some idea in a general sense of what was being played, but so often it was just like completely off the mark. And there were some hilarious tabs for now very famous pieces of music like Eruption, for example, where people would encourage you to play, I beg your pardon, the first couple of notes like this. Where you might get this. Hideous. Just nobody wants to play that. Although I may try and learn Eruption with hybrid picking at some point, just for a bit of a laugh. I once saw Phil X do Eruption with picking, which is just crazy, man. Like, just what an absolute monster. But this, in and of itself, is kind of one of these deals because the process of some of that was because of copyright. Very interesting that some of the tabs were wrong. I mean, that's such a strange area. I mean, I got to be honest, right? One of the reasons Lick Library exists to this day is because it was one of the first companies, or it was an extension of Total Accuracy, which is one of the first companies actually offering accurate tabs, which is a fascinating concept because now we sort of take that for granted. But yeah, the process of actually pulling stuff apart and like picking this to bits. And for me, often reconstructing the tabs into something that was playable, never mind correct, just something that I can actually get my fingers around, was quite a liberating process because it gave me some ownership over my own guitar learning. I wasn't just going, hey, I wasn't just being prescribed notes, going play this note, play this note, play this note, in this order, this is exactly where to go. I had to figure out where it was comfortable for me to play particular lines. So yeah, I think there's something really valuable to that. And also, there's something wonderful, if you guys haven't had a chance, you really should, of if any young folks who are watching, there's something really wonderful about the generation of guitar players immediately prior to mine. Folks who started playing in the 70s, the 80s, for example, who had no choice but to stop the record and like rewind the record, then rewind the cassette tape, and figure things out by ear, because a lot of these guys have incredibly developed vocabularies and incredibly developed ears, but also a beautifully sensitive touch. And I think it's something that's a little bit lost these days. But for example, there are players I know, I shall name no names, so I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but this is not what that is. It's kind of like a half compliment, but it's intended as a full-on like, oh man, this is amazing. There are maybe players who don't have as developed a technique as a lot of modern players, or even as developed a technique as myself, but have incredibly sensitive touches and dynamics and great vibrato, a wonderful sensitivity to bends, to the arc on the instrument, to tone, purely because their learning has been entirely by ear. Now, the ear training courses we have here are it, in my opinion. But in addition to this, you can go and check out some of the song lessons that we have on licklibrary.com, because we don't just present you with tabs, we give you note for note tuition, but you actually get to hear the stuff being played. And the stuff that's being played is played with the appropriate touch, with the appropriate tone. I beg your pardon, I'm sneezing. That can't be a good sign. So if I'm ill for the next week, hey, that's why, because I've started sneezing. Or at least the sneezing is a symptom thereof. But yeah, hearing someone play it and having some sense of the rhythm, of the touch, of the lope of the thing, of when the vibrato stops and starts, what the vibrato sounds like. Do you bend? How far do you bend? How fast do you bend? Are you picking hard? Are you picking soft? Are you picking at all? What's the note duration? All that sort of deal. Which pickup are we on? That is something that is so easily communicated by ear and less easily communicated by tab. A final thought on this is it's a little bit like the difference between communicating in speech versus communicating in text. If you are conversant in a language, you can assume information very fast, right? You can hear me say something straight in there. Text, a little slower. Also, in text, meaning gets lost very often, whereas in speech, you have context. Folks, That's been a lot of fun, a lot of speech too. My name's Nick Jennison. This has been the Monday Guitar Show. We're doing the thing that we hang out. We do every Monday. We hang out, we talk about the guitar. It's a lot of fun. We do this every Monday. If you aren't subscribed already, give us a sub. We would love to let you know when we're about to go live in the future. If you're from the UK, thank you so much for joining us on Bank Holiday. If you're from elsewhere in the world, thank you so much for joining us on Easter. If you celebrate, have a great Easter weekend, or I hope you've had a great Easter weekend. I will see you guys at the same time, in the same place, next Monday for all of the other good stuff that we've got planned for you this month. It's going to be so much cool stuff. We love doing these streams. I love doing these streams. I want to thank you for joining us. I'm going to play out on the same backing track. Don't forget, this track will soon be available on licklibrary.com, and all the tracks that we use in these streams are available. Go to licklibrary.com for lessons, guitarinteractivemagazine.com for news, reviews, interviews, all the other good stuff. Let's play out on the 80s track.